We need, in the longer term, medium and longer term, to go after the root causes that leads people to join these groups, whether it's lack of opportunity for jobs. What makes these 17-year-old kids pick up an AK-47 instead of try to start a business? And I didn't hear a lot of alternatives. I heard a lot of sort of big words and big thoughts in that piece, and those are certainly, there's a place for that. I don't understand what's not clear about saying, I'm not going to confirm every meeting. You can ask, and I'm not going to confirm.
No meetings have been canceled, but you can say that it took place.
Yes.
So that means, what does that mean?
It means that I'm not going to confirm when meetings took place. There were rumors.
Whatever.
If we don't ultimately send in American combat troops, and I quote, we're going to lose.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what lose means.
I know, but she does know what is. Joining us now on the Malzberg panel, Larry Elder, radio host of The Larry Elder Show and author of Dear Father, Dear Son, 2 Lives, 8 Hours, and Jane Velez-Mitchell, founder of JaneUnchained.com and author of New York Times bestseller Exposed, The Secret Life of Jodi Arias. And folks, just before we get to Marie Harf and her new promotion for those brilliant answers, Rick Santorum, as we speak, is speaking himself in Cabot, Pennsylvania. Of course, the former Pennsylvania senator is announcing that he is throwing his hat into the race once again for the Republican presidential nomination. Larry, no surprise here.
No surprise here, but once again, it shows you the diversity of the Republican bench. We've got differences on immigration. We have differences on trade. Look at the Democratic side, the handful of people that are challenging Hillary. Name the policy difference between any of them, between Sanders, between O'Malley and Clinton. I can't think of anything at all.
I think they like different kind of Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
If that.
Jane?
I think that's not true, Larry, because Sanders has said very uncomplimentary things about Hillary Clinton and is basing his entire campaign that he is not Hillary, that he's far more progressive, and really feels that...
Name the policy difference. Name one.
Well, I will say, like, for example, on the trade deal, which she hasn't come out in favor of...
We don't know what position is on trade. We don't know what she stands.
Well, you're right on that.
All right, but let's say, what about Rick Santorum, Jane? What about Rick?
Well, it's like another one bites the dust. How many more Republican candidates can we possibly have? Is there such an ego on the side of these Republican candidates that everybody's got to jump into the race? People, you go out there in the street and ask people to name 5 of the candidates, they won't be able to name 5 of the Republicans who want to become president.
Larry, we got a black man, we got Hispanic men, we got a woman, we got diversity, and we got a libertarian, and the Democrats say, why do you have so many people? We have the Queen.
We have ideological diversity. I thought you guys liked that. And Jane, News Bulletin, everybody who runs for president has an ego. I hope so.
All right, now, what about Maria Harf? I hope she doesn't have an ego. Jane, how does she get promoted?
Listen, I think a lot of the things that she said that people are ridiculing her over made a lot of sense. For example, we can't kill all the terrorists. We can't kill our way out of this terrible situation with terrorism. Every time you kill a terrorist, 5 of his cousins...
So we should get them a business so the cousins could work at the business?
No,
is that
but
it?
The point is that we can't kill our way out of this situation.
Sure you do. You win wars by killing people.
No, this idea of the good guys and the bad guys and mission accomplished has been proven to be a crock. All we've done is destabilize Iraq since we invaded it. We know that it was better off before we invaded for the wrong reasons.
Tell it to the people who were in the torture chambers.
When there weren't.
Steve, I thought the topic was the credibility of Maureen Harf and whether or not she was justifiably promoted. And here's the problem. As articulate as Winston Churchill is, he'd sound like a boob if he were trying to explain this inconsistent foreign policy. There's a reason that Obama's on his 4th Secretary of Defense in just 6 years, because his foreign policy is hard to defend. It's not Marie Harf's fault that John Kerry and Obama both suggested that the problem is that lack of jobs. It's not her fault that both of them have suggested.
Excuse me, we haven't had a 9/11
We're coming
under
back.
Obama.
We're coming back. All right, we're back with the Malzberg panel, part 2, Larry Elder, Jane Velez-Mitchell. And, we were talking about, even you guys were defending Marie Harf for different reasons, but even Larry said that it's hard to be a spokesperson for a failed foreign policy, and I agree with that. And, of course, part of that failed foreign policy is the release of the 5 Taliban thugs, terrorist scum, released from Gitmo in return for a man who's proven to be a deserter, and I believe that the administration knew he was a deserter, Bo Bergdahl. And Larry, These 5 Talibaners have their travel ban lifted within days. They've already, some of them have reached out through communications to terrorists, and there's a lot of concern. They're going right back to the battlefield and the planning field.
I've heard that 3 of them already have. You know, President Obama the other day said that the reason he thought people should look at his Iran deal with great credibility is because he's a young man. He's going to be around, and if they acquire a bomb, his name will be on that. Well, his name is on this deal as well. And as again, 3 of them have already returned to the battlefield. Imagine what happens when the news media has reports of terror attacks that have been inspired by some of these people. It's really, really bad, and that's one of the reasons Marie Harf looked so bad. She had to defend that. She came out and said initially that he was a hero, and then she had to back up and back up. It's not her fault that she was given inconsistent information. Not her fault she was given bad information. It made her look not credible.
Jane?
Larry, the real problem here is that Bergdahl should never have been allowed in the U.S. Army to begin with. He was kicked out of the Coast Guard for psychological problems. So why on earth was he even allowed into the Army?
Jane,
if we had not
that's
made
a red
that
herring.
No, it's not a red herring. That's the whole. No, it is the whole point. When you
worry.
accept anybody into the U.S. Army and then messes like this occur, you have to look at the policy of why the Army allowed this guy
my
in.
question, Jane, is why did the President of the United States release 5 Taliban hardened criminal terrorist thugs in return for this man who the evidence, the New York Times had all the evidence about what he had written, what he had said, what he had done, how he disappeared. Why would the President of the United States spend all that capital to get him back?
I would like to remind everybody that President Obama inherited a big fat mess in that region of the world from his predecessor.
George Bush's, Larry, it's George Bush's fault. I didn't know I didn't know we needed a doctor. I didn't know Jane Velez-Mitchell actually suffered from Bush derangement syndrome.
No, Bush is the whole problem. If we hadn't invaded Iraq, we wouldn't be talking about any of this. We'd be talking about how we took those billions of dollars that were wasted in Iraq and put it into our education and our infrastructure.
Who says Bush lied, people died? Please tell me you're not one of those, are you?
He did lie and people did die.
Oh my God.
Goodness. So Bush is a liar. That's why we're here.
Yes, exactly. There were no weapons of mass destruction, and we invaded a country for the wrong reasons. He said mission accomplished, and then the whole thing fell apart. Many people died.
You ever hear of the surge? You ever hear of deserting Iraq when it was fixed?
Jane, 2 factoids, please. The first is that he retained the same CIA director as served under Bill Clinton, who told him that the assertion that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction was a slam dunk. Number 2, we have 16 intelligence agencies. All 16, Jane, all 16 said that Saddam had stockpiles to the highest level of probability. What's Bush supposed to do? I'm sorry. F you, George Tenet, F you, all 16 intelligence agencies? I don't believe you? Are you serious?
Listen.
All right, wait, I don't want to debate George Bush now. I want to debate why, no matter how we got there, Jane, why Barack Obama would hold a press conference in the Rose Garden with the parents of a deserter after he sent 5 Taliban terrorists in exchange for this deserter. Why? Why did he do it?
Look, I'm not defending every single thing he does. I agree this is a mess, but he didn't invent the mess.
He invented that mess.
Is that this young man has suffered as a prisoner for a long time. He's been through hell, and I personally think that he's suffered enough, and he should never have been allowed in the Army because he was kicked out of the Coast Guard prior to joining the Army. They shouldn't have let him in.
All right, the Clinton Foundation, speaking of something that shouldn't be allowed, has been hit with a racketeering lawsuit, I believe by Larry Klayman and his group. But also we find out today from the International Business Times that the Clinton Foundation donors, countries that gave money to the Clinton Foundation while Hillary was Secretary of State, got arms deals, got weapons deals from Hillary, including, as I alluded to earlier, I want to just make sure I got my country correct here. It was Algeria, who the Clinton State Department blasted for human rights violations. Then they make a donation, and then they get a weapons deal. Larry?
Steve, Jane is going to say there's no evidence of a quid pro quo. That's what they're going to say the entire time. We're never going to know exactly what happened. So isn't that what you're going to say, Jane? I've already said it.
Well, you know what I'll say? I'll say that what had Steve looking through his papers is exactly why this is not going to resonate with the American people.
I couldn't remember
it's so
Algeria, excuse
complicated.
me.
No, it's so complicated, and
No,
it's
it's
such
not.
a
They're
tangled
crooks.
web
They're
that
crooks.
it doesn't resonate. It's not like the Monica Lewinsky scandal, which is easy to remember for a lot of good reasons.
And the left didn't believe Monica Lewinsky either.
And Steve, George Clintonopoulos says he's not going to do the debate because he doesn't want to have the appearance of impropriety, having donated money to the Clinton Foundation. What about the appearance of impropriety regarding Hillary Rodham Clinton and her duties as Secretary of State?
Got to end there, Larry and Jane. Thank you. We're coming back. Don't go away. Give me 5.